Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I am your host, Dave.
Oh, I'm JD.
And filling in,
everyone's favorite expert of the Middle Age, D Square here.
All right. So, okay, let me start off, everyone. We were off last week, mainly because it was my birthday and I had a lot going on last weekend. And I just said, screw it. I don't want to record. I'm going to enjoy this time. And then John isn't here this week. He will be back. He's just having a slight issue.
He shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
I thought that was you.
I didn't know Reno.
So we all love you, John, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What they said.
So now that we got that out of the way, how's everyone doing? How are you, Don? You were with us last time. We talked about the Green Lantern.
The Green Lantern, yes. I'm good. I just totally forgot about my sister-in-law coming into town. This is all planned. I just completely forgot about it. So that's been crazy. We've been doing stuff. I've been trying to do like a Obi-Wan round table. And yeah, I was like, holy crap. So anyway, outside of that, just been enjoying the shows Obi-Wan and The Boys. I know you guys don't talk about that on this show, but it is moderately amusing. So been having a good time with all that. And again, visiting with the relatives that I forgot.
All right. Well, two things. The first question is, do you do what I did many years when I was married, where you go, no, you never told me when you forget something like that?
I would, but I've since evolved to where I just accept it. I forgot that. That's okay. Just that way, path of least resistance.
And the other thing is, I don't know if this is, The Boys comes out weekly, right? Like everything else? Fridays. Okay, so I don't know if it aired yet, but I keep seeing a lot of posts about it. The Hero-gasm?
Yeah,
that was huh?
Yeah, that was the last episode. Imagine if Reed Richards, answered the door with his cock. That's just the start.
Is he in the same room?
Not at first.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
So very graphic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the main characters ends up like Nickelodeon would, slime people, but white.
That is not family friendly, people.
Not at all. If you're one of those person that's like, I'm okay with my kids seeing crazy crap. Like, no, The Boys checks off every box there is: nudity, ultraviolet, immoral behavior. No, not good.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like this podcast.
Fair.
And speaking of immoral nudity, how are you doing, JD?
I'm looking at my messages. Yes, I'm ready to go, Dave. I am good. Not week off last week, which was nice. Today, I made the announcement that we're going to go ahead with our next Kickstarter. Got the proof right here for Red Sunrise. John's going to die in Japan. I haven't figured out how that's going to happen yet, but he's gonna. So yeah, short book this time. Last time we launched a 3-volume, epic story, and this time it's something short. It's 150 pages. It's just a simple little samurais versus vampire story that is an adaptation of the comic that I never got around to finishing because my artist flaked on me. And I told a little bit of the story in my newsletter about that I did get a guy to finish it, but the art was just super different. Yeah, and it didn't work. So now I get to make it work a little bit better.
Yeah, It's funny too because it brings me back because you were promoting that when you came on this show. That's how we met.
Wow, that's
Oh, JD, we can't hear you.
yeah, we cannot hear you, buddy.
I see you talking. Mm. All right. Well, wow, JD takes care of his technical difficulties. How was my week? It was all right.
Right. Yeah. How was your week, Dave?
Oh my goodness, I am old and tired.
Two not fun things.
The prodigal son returns.
There we go. All right.
All right, I'm back. My computer's been acting kind of weird lately when I've been having the adapter plugged in. Like instead of showing, because I have a Mac, instead of showing the lightning, it's got a little plug-in thing. So I don't know what's going on with that. I might have taken it in, but we're good now. We're fine. As I was saying.
There we go.
Was I just talking and no one heard what I said?
No, we heard everything you said.
Oh, okay. I got scared. As I was saying, and effectively, that we'll be launching the Kickstarter in a month. So word went out today. Very excited. Different kind of project. But this is a story that's been kicking around in my brain since college, and it's about time that it's out into the world. What's nice is it's actually different. This book is actually is different enough from the comic that I got to grow a little bit as a writer in the time that I did the first one.
That was my question. Are you sticking strictly to the comic, or are you changing things up?
No, I had to change things up because it was supposed to be like a 3-issue comic series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a short book, man. Like when you're writing it down, that's a real short book. Even as short as this is, I had to kind of beef it up a little bit. And I made some changes, right? Like in the comic, the samurai's name is no name in Japanese. That works good on a page, but it doesn't write very well. So in the book, he's just called the samurai. Nameless. He's like very much like Yojimbo, very that much in that line, like the man with no name type of a character. So it's stuff like that, and I got to kind of dig a little bit more into some of the characters, which is fun. Like I said, this is going to be fun because it's very different than what I've done. And I've gotten kitschy. Oh, I left my buttons downstairs, but I got vampire buttons made up. So I got to be go outside the box a little bit more than I normally do in these things. So we're experimenting. I don't anticipate to have the numbers I did last time because there's just less. There's less to sell. Yeah. And I'm not charging as much, but trying to grow the project and keep them going. Trying to do one every quarter. So we'll see how it goes.
And you have to figure out how to get an Irishman into feudal Japan.
I'm working on it. I have an idea, but I'm not there yet. So, but I mean, other than adding that kind of stuff, the book wasn't that a video podcast anymore, but as you guys can see, book's 100% done. I got the proof in my hands. I have to do some tweaks, but otherwise it's good. Like I'm very happy with it. My editor's notes were, I like this. You don't have to change anything.
Oh, there you go.
I like that. So that's always really good. So that's basically the number one thing that I got going on right now. I'm excited. So the next month I'm looking to promote. So, hey, anyone listening out there who's got a podcast who wants to have a guy shill, who's a pretty good talker, call me, hit me up at JD_Levi at Twitter.
Especially if you have a vampire themed podcast.
You know what? I should try to hit those up. I never even thought about that. A vampire themed podcast, that has to be a thing.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I just think it's filled with mostly teenagers, but you know what? That was probably back in the aughts, maybe. So they're probably older now.
And it's funny because when I started dropping little hints for this, I had a guy say, "Hey, my daughters love vampire stuff. Is this for them?" And I had to be like, "No," because like it isn't. Like this isn't like Twilight or anything like that. Like my vampires are like nasty monsters, and there's nothing sexy going on. It's just a brutal horror story, with some elements of Eastern philosophy mixed in.
No sexy time for your vampires.
No sexy time vampires. Like Don's out. He just walked away. Don wants sexy time vampires. Has made a statement.
Yes, I'm very, very disappointed.
No sexy time vampires. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at writing that kind of stuff, and I'm not interested in everybody else does it. So I want to do something different, and oftentimes different costs you dollars, but I'd rather not make a sale than lie to somebody, right? And then leave really bad review. So I'll just be honest and say, no, I mean, probably not for them, because it isn't. This is going to be a story about dudes getting their heads chopped off and stuff like that.
Well, there you go. That is the kind of vampires we want to see.
Honestly, it's probably my most, because it was a comic. It's probably my most cinematic story that I've ever done. So, I mean, this is the most like movie-like, I guess you could say, when I was writing it. So, yeah, it's cool.
It's a great concept.
Thank you.
Reminds me a lot of Onimusha Warlords, which was a video game that was really cool that dealt with, samurai and demons. So yeah, the samurai and the supernatural element isn't done a lot. So yeah, that sounds great.
Well, that's what was fun about this thing. Even back, one of the original things is like, what would they do? Because they don't know what a vampire is. Like, I think so much of vampire like fiction today is based on the fact that the characters know what they're dealing with, right? And in this instance, because I'm in feudal Japan, they don't know what these are. The word vampire only shows up on the cover. Like, they don't know what they're discovering how to defeat them. So that was part of the fun of this, is I got to be a little different. And I have the final kill scene is something I've never seen in a vampire movie or read in a book. So I'm very proud of it. And I think that because we never got to that last issue, no one's ever seen it. And I'm very excited to unveil it.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. July 26th, we launch on Kickstarter.
All right.
How are you, Dave?
I'm doing all right. So last week,
old and tired.
Yes, last week was my birthday. We had my girlfriend wanted, which was on Father's Day, by the way. Does everyone have a good Father's Day?
Yeah.
We share the same birthday, so I get the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's a
that's
double
right.
shot
Happy birthday,
there.
Don.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Happy birthdays to both of you.
So my girlfriend's like wanted me to spend the night at her house so that she could make me breakfast in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to.
Call it?
Right.
Yes, that's what we called it. Then we went
Making bacon.
Went to my daughters for a while to spend time with them. See my grandkids and my kids and my son-in-law, and then went to an Italian restaurant that I've never been to called Little Nona's. It's in South Philly. Very authentic Italian. Well, authentic American Italian is a better way to put it. Like it's the kind of meal you'd get at your grandmother's if you're an Italian. Giant plates of food too. Everything was like huge servings. So that was good. And then the next day we went to the Franklin Institute with my granddaughters. That was a fun day, but
what is
by the end of it, what
is the Franklin Institute?
Oh, so yeah, there you go. That is a regional thing. So people know who Ben Franklin is.
I am aware. I am aware of Ben Franklin.
Yes, he's one of the founders of the country. So there's an institute. It's a science institute dedicated to a lot of his work, but then it's grown over the years and it's all kinds of science now. And it's dedicated to him. It's, in the heart of the city, and it's very kid friendly. Like, there's a whole thing, a whole display on the heart, and they have a giant human heart that you walk through and you hear it pumping the whole time you're walking through it. And there's little signs that explain, like, you're in the right ventricle, you're in the left ventricle, and like you're following the blood that would go through the heart, like you're following that path. You walk through it. A whole bunch of stuff. There's of course an electric show because he was discovered that lightning was made of electricity. So yeah, no, it was, I haven't been in a long time since my son was little. So, it was a lot of fun. And then I was so tired come Tuesday. And then yesterday, was it yesterday? No, Saturday, I went to a concert. It's the stadium tour. Are you guys aware of this? It's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue. You're making faces, JD.
I don't like hair metal. Like,
yeah, that's the MTV era 90.
Well, you're
early
young,
90s.
Don.
Yeah,
Don and I are the same age.
I still I still remember Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Of those bands, Def Leppard is the best. Like, Def Leppard is actually a pretty good rock band that got lumped into the Hairspray stuff. I will go to my grave saying Motley Crue is god awful.
Well, it's funny because we were actually talking about that. Like, Def Leppard came out right before hair metal became a thing,
right.
But because they were younger guys with all with long hair, they got lumped into that. But they never wore the makeup or teased their hair or anything.
No, the one guy had I forget the one, but I think it was the drummer, had long curly hair that looked like similar to like mine when it was long.
Rick Allen is the drummer. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Mine was long and curly and could get hair metally if I let it desire. So I get it. No, I'm a personal fan of the harder stuff of the era, Metallica's and Megadeth's of the world.
Here we go. But did they have that super expensive drum kit? Or at least back in the day, it was super expensive for Def Leppard before the drummer. Like, it was a whole big thing. Like,
he did have a big ass drum kit. Yeah.
So So, I mean, if people who aren't fans of Def Leppard might not know that Rick Allen lost his arm after they recorded Pyromania.
As so noted by the Bloodhound Gang in one of their classic songs. The drummer from Def Leppard only has one arm. The drummer from Def Leppard only has one arm. I can't remember what song it was, but it's...
So he taught himself how to like use his foot instead of his arm, his left foot instead of his left hand. And this is, now you got to remember, this is the 80s. So like the technology wasn't what it is today, but he used like a lot of electronic drums and triggers and mixed with acoustic drums. And now like, it's funny, you watch him live, it's mostly acoustic drums, but I know that you can put triggers on acoustic drums. He still has some electronic pads. So yeah, I mean, sounded amazing. They actually, I will say that they sounded the best out of all four bands.
They were the best band, like easily, like definitely.
But I mean, and the thing is, I think one of the things that contributes to that is like they've been consistently recording still. Like they just had an album come out like that. They were promoting that. Like that's the whole thing. You know, they might be in their 60s, but they're still producing albums. They've been touring for decades. So like they're probably the most professional.
They're musicians, right? Like a lot of those people are just rock stars, right? Whereas Def Leppard, those guys could actually play. Like those were really good musicians.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've always liked, like, it's funny, a lot of bands, but not every band, like when there's two guitarists, but yet the lead guitarist just plays the solos and like riffs here and there, and the rhythm guitarist plays the rhythm. Like they write integral parts. They go back and forth and stuff. Poison sounded really good too. They don't have a new album out, but like they're on the tour. There were little things here and there, but like, I mean, looking at these guys in their 60s still able to walk, run around the stage and play, it's like it's amazing. Joan Jett doesn't run around, she just stands there and plays, but she still sounded good. And then Motley Crue came out.
Vince Neil looks rough from what I understand. Like,
so one of the first things we noticed is like he's definitely had work done. Vince Neil. And he had put a bunch of weight on. He's lost some, but he's still not anywhere in shape like he was. And you could like, I can't remember what song they opened with, and then they did Shout at the Devil was the second song. And like by the time they got to the third song, which I believe was
they had to be doing Kickstart My Heart. Okay.
They did a lot of the older stuff first. And like he was just so out of breath by the time they got to the third song. It was just like, and he was having a hard time catching his breath while I was singing, and he's running around and stuff. And it's like, dude, just stand there. Just like, that's all you got to do. You don't sound terrible when you're like not out of breath, but yeah, it was just, by the time they got to the end of their set, you could see he was just done. And it was just like, it was sad. Like,
I mean, like they're legendary for not taking good care of themselves. Like you have to change when you're older, Like, I mean, God, even Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are out there still doing it,
Yeah, Nikki Sixx, though, I will say, if anyone knows the story, he legally died. He overdosed, he died, and they brought him back. That's where the song Kickstart My Heart comes from. I'm thinking he, like, was reborn, got a reset on his clock when that happened, because he looks really good. He was running around, and, like, like he was half the everyone else's age.
How's Tommy Lee? How's Tommy Lee looked?
He's looking older. Oh, that's the other thing. He cracked his ribs right before the tour started. And
and he's the drummer? Damn, yes. He's a tough guy then. That's painful.
But the thing was, like, I read a review of the show, like the first show of the tour. He only played 5 songs and then he was done. He couldn't do it, like he was in too much pain. So what he was doing on Saturday night was he'd play like 2 songs and then he'd leave for 2 songs, and then he'd come back and do a song, and then he'd leave, and so he could be there throughout the whole night as opposed to just in the beginning and then be done. So yeah, and then yesterday we actually celebrated my birthday with my family, because my brothers are both the 26th, and they're not twins, and I say this every year. So we all got together and celebrated yesterday. Had cake and ice cream.
It's a wild coincidence, man.
No, I just don't want to think what goes on in September with.
Right. There's something specific.
So yeah, and I am just tired. Oh, I will say this. I am also at that age. I'm going to a concert like that. I got earplugs. I got those new Flutin high fidelity earplugs where it lets some sound in but dampens the damaging parts of the sound, and I will say the next day I could hear perfectly fine, and I'm like, yes.
Man, I'm not going to give you credit for that. I started wearing earplugs when I was working weddings and bar mitzvahs because you'd be shooting next to these big ass speakers. I'd wear earplugs all the time. Now I wear noise canceling headphones because I think it's a little bit easier to walk around and then I can listen to what I want to listen to, and people think I'm working. You know, people think I'm on the ball. So no, I get it, man. That's you gotta protect your ears.
Yeah, and I was in a band for years and never thought about it when I was young, but I'm old now. 2 years to 50. Oh, anyway. No, wait. We're young, hip, and now. That's right. That's right.
Take a look at my life from home, like you.
But enough about me and turning old. Let's see. What have you guys been watching? Any good TV shows lately?
Yeah, and it's a controversial statement to say this, but I thought fucking Kenobi ruled.
Why is that controversial? That's what I don't get.
I don't get it. Like, I get people saying, okay, Book of Boba Fett wasn't that great. It wasn't. It was pretty average, right? For the Star Wars thing. You don't think so? Oh, you didn't like it at all, did you, Don?
No, I loved it. What are you talking about?
Oh, you did like it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad by any stretch. I think it's possibly the weakest entry that we've had in the TV series, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, but it's not bad by any stretch.
I mean, so much so that it became Mandalorian 2.5.
Still loved it. Yeah, but
okay.
They're going to merge the two shows. That's
I'm fine with it. You know, I don't understand. Like, I see so many of these crazy takes like, oh, Star Wars isn't serious anymore. They're making it a joke. I'm like, have you ever watched these movies? Like, any of them?
So I saw a meme actually right before we got on Facebook, and it was a picture of not Alec Guinness, Ian McGregor, like without a shirt on, all buff, you know, with wearing the Obi-Wan pants, and it says the Star Wars fans want it, an unstoppable Jedi who could wipe down armies, you know, just with his lightsaber. And then there was an actual picture from Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, and him in his robes. And it's like the Star Wars we did get a flawed man who's suffering from PTSD and depression from losing everything that he ever held dear, and is dealing with mental issues, and despite all that, does the right thing, finds the courage to do the right thing.
All right, that is, I would say yes, that's exactly what we got, and that's what made this a great show. Like, yeah. Here's what I think that a lot of these fans want. They don't want a movie. They don't want a story. They don't want a TV show. They want a scene, right? They just want to see someone go out there and kick the shit out of something. Go, isn't that awesome? They want the final scene in Rogue One, right? On various levels. Remember, Darth Vader just goes and just wipes out all those rebels. It was an awesome sequence, but that can't be an entire movie. A movie you need to have, or a TV series in this case, you need to have character. You need to have a flawed character. Right. You need to have a character that grows, that overcomes things. Otherwise, you don't have anything. Like, the fact that these people stand up against, I don't know, drama is just astounding to me. It's like, have you ever watched a show or a movie or anything, read a book? And I think the answer is no. Because like these people don't have the slightest grasp of how you're supposed to tell a story. Like, if you don't overcome anything, what do we got? Like, it's astounding.
And we got the scene at the end. We got the Obi-Wan Vader fight at the end.
Right.
I think everyone's always wanted. Absolutely.
All I could think is, wow, that's what I said to myself when I was watching. Wow, we finally got the Vader Kenobi lightsaber fight. I thought it was fantastic. And I mean, like, it was like, Vader's using the Force too much. It's like, what? It's not real.
Did you watch Empire?
But it's also not real. Like, I just I don't understand these complaints. Or people like I get first episode you didn't like the Princess Leia chase. Okay, that's to each their own. Like, it's not serious. And then, like, I remember someone said on Twitter, and I tweeted a gif of Wicket the Ewok twirling his bow and hitting himself in the face. Like, this is Star Wars. It's always been this. Like, you know what I think it is? I think it's people that are very not self-secure. Right, they're super insecure about themselves, and they find people. If what they're into is made fun of, then it's a blow against them. So what they like has to be super serious, right? Because they're serious people. So if you speak out against or make fun of something that they identify with, it's a personal affront to them. So they have to. So they see these things as, this isn't serious. I'm a serious person. So you know what I'm saying?
That's kind of
believe that.
The Batman conundrum, right?
Very much.
Right? Like, oh, it got dark, so they're taking Batman serious, blah, blah, blah. And then it got darker and darker to keep it serious. And it's like, and then you end up with a Batman that, you know, You can't see because it's too dark.
Well, and again, that's an artistic statement to the end of the movie where he goes, "I can't be this dark," and the movie literally ends in the daytime.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's literally the point of the Batman, is to say we can't keep getting this dark.
Yes.
You know, and again, I think people take this stuff too, like the Zack Snyder stuff too, right? It like they make the Snyder fans make fun of Marvel because like Marvel movies have like, you know, jokes, right? You're not taking this story about a guy who lives under the water and talks to fish seriously enough. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say.
So, what did you think of Obi-Wan as a whole, Don?
I am over the moon happy with this show. It checked all of the boxes. The people that have a problem with this show obviously do not understand the character of Obi-Wan and the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. So let me talk about the check boxes. So in this series, you guys already talked about it. We wanted to see that Vader versus Obi-Wan lightsaber fight. We got the first one in episode 3, where it's Darth Vader pre-armor, fully powered Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, we got that. We have seen the old Obi-Wan versus the Vader. Okay, but we've not seen fully powered Obi-Wan versus newly fully powered Darth Vader. We got that. It has so many, even calls back. There's a scar on Vader's head. Now we know exactly why that's from, because Obi-Wan hit him in the face with the damn lightsaber and got his head. They always made fun of Obi-Wan calling Darth Vader Darth in episode 1, but now we know he calls him Darth basically as an insult. Like, I know who you are. You're Anakin Skywalker, but okay, Darth. Like, now that kind of makes more sense. We all know that he called him Darth, you know, because they didn't quite have everything all mapped out, but it made sense. So it's just, it's spectacular. And you just don't understand the relationship. I don't want to say too much because I know we're going to talk about it in a Twitter, the social media madness. There's a comment that I will address there as well, as far as like, when Darth Vader is trying to burn Obi-Wan and then he's able to escape. Like, it makes sense. It really does to me.
Me too.
So there's only a couple of things in this show that I will say, okay, first of all, they should have de-aged or not done the whole flashback Padawan, Hayden Christensen, 45-year-old Padawan. He does look like an old Padawan. That's a miss. Doesn't ruin it for me. I'm interested to see that because they call back to what Obi-Wan learned, which is Anakin/Vader always wants victory, so he does brazen shit and you can take advantage of it. And he uses that in multiple ways in this story. The character Reva, I think the actress is just fine. I think the writing for her is a little dumb. I get the whole she was one of those Padawans. That was cool. But for her to do this because she wants to get back at Vader, she doesn't have that credibility, because like in the very first episode, she chops this lady's hand off just for asking the legitimate question of, hey, the Empire doesn't have jurisdiction out there. And she's right, they don't. And she just whap chops her goddamn hand off. But that's before we know that she wants to get back at Anakin for stabbing her with the lightsaber. Like, he at least kept you alive. Like, you lived through it. You have both your limbs. You just took someone's goddamn hand off. Like, so her morality does not hold up to me. It doesn't.
Yeah. I think that it's not meant to be. I think that's the thing, is I think she's so warped in what she is and what she believes in. Like, she's an end justifies the means person, right? Like, I don't think she sees herself as a villain, but she's clearly a villain. She goes to kill Luke Skywalker in the very end, but can't do it because I think she realizes that she's become everything she hates.
So my issue with the character was that, like, I felt like they wanted you to feel a certain way for her by the end of the show, and I feel like they tried to shortcut us there, and to me it didn't work. Like, I wish they had shown her struggling a little bit with being evil and good, you know. Then you would have felt sympathy for her by the time we got to the end.
See, and that's the thing is, I think that's the same path as Vader, right? And this is where I think I was talking with you about this, Don, on Twitter. Like, I don't think that I don't think that there's this thing of, well, Vader is redeemed at the end. I'm like, is he really? I mean, like, does one semi good action? It's like, well, I didn't let the Emperor completely electrocute my son, like, and that's it. That's
Right.
all he does. He's got this lifetime of evil, right? And so I think the argument, well, Anakin is redeemed, is a bit short-sighted, and I think this is, and I think now whether you say that's just how they wrote it or that's what it is a artistic interpretation, but I think Reva's the same thing. Like, I think Reva thinks she's the good guy, like she thinks she's, you know, lying in the weeds Donnie Brasco style, but in reality she's just as twisted and evil as the rest of them.
But the difference with Vader and Reva is Vader's Luke's father, so in Jedi they're playing off that emotional connection of father and son, so they get away with it a little bit more of saying he's redeemed at the end because it's a father saving a son, and you're supposed to see it that way.
But you could, but saying you can see it that way. You can choose to see the redemption. I don't. I think he's a butcher and then suffered a fate as a butcher, and his son is the one who saves the day. You know, and he has a moment. He has a slight moment of clarity in a lifetime of complete, you know, villainy. Whereas I think it's just, I make the same argument for Reva. Like, Reva does nothing heroic throughout the entire thing, and Obi-Wan kind of uses that to manipulate her into buying them some time, which is all it is.
Yeah.
Right. And then she's about to butcher Luke, and she's like, God damn, I can't kill a kid. They tried to kill me. And then she kind of has this moment of, well, shit. And that's really it. I don't think she's redeemed by any stretch of the imagination. She just has a moment where she realizes what she's become. A moment that Vader gets at the very end of his life. Like, she's dead. I don't remember. She doesn't die, does she? Reva?
No.
She's been stabbed twice with a lightsaber, but she still lives.
Does the lightsaber cauterize the wound upon
it absolutely
right
it does. It does.
Could work.
But no, it's strange. No, that's a strange trend in this show, to be honest with you. Is there he keeps stabbing people in non-lethal areas and walking away. So I don't quite get that.
I think is it because Vader wants people to survive hurt? It seems very Sithish to me.
I think the biggest problem this show suffers from is that it's a prequel, right? Like,
a lot of plot armor.
Everyone's got to be at a certain point by the time we get to the end, so A New Hope can happen. And and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but then it's like you get this epic battle between Obi-Wan and Darth at the end, and Obi-Wan clearly defeats him and then just walks away.
That's what he did last time though too.
It is.
I know. He's got a bad habit of walking away from Darth.
From Anakin. Absolutely.
It's Anakin. That's like his son or his younger brother, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, I think he's a Jedi.
Like, he's walking away knowing this guy is going to kill thousands of people in some way, shape, or form.
It's a character flaw.
Yeah.
But it's one we've seen, right? Like, he couldn't even kill Darth Maul successfully.
But then
he does eventually, but
not the first time.
After this, though, it is after this.
Fair.
All right, hear me out on this one. Okay. I was kind of hoping this is how the show was going to end, but it didn't. I've always had this theory for a long time. I mean, I think ever since Empire Strikes Back, that Darth Vader always knew Luke was alive and on Tatooine. It's why the Empire never went to Tatooine really until A New Hope. And think about it. How do we find out that they're father and son? How does the audience find out? Darth tells him, "I'm your father." So he knew.
Okay, I'm going to go Shadows of the Empire. I'm still in the process of reading this right now. He didn't know who the kid was until people said Luke Skywalker blew up the Death Star. And he went, well, son of a bitch. And then he put it together in his head. Like, I don't think.
Yeah, but is Shadows of the Empire still canon?
No, but that's all we've got. Right. So I'm not saying your theory is wrong. I'm just saying the only bit of fiction that we have to support it states that Vader didn't know that the kids survived. And he didn't know it was a boy or a girl. And I mean, like, is it possible? Sure, it's possible if you're in touch with the Force. But Vader's whole thing is denying feelings and not, not really acknowledging what is reality.
Well, he's fully convinced that he killed Padme. Like, the Sidious the whole time. There's a lot of Darth Vader comics out that are canon. Sidious is feeding him lies. I mean, and he knows he knows some shit's up, but he really, to this point, to my knowledge, I can't say that you're wrong, but he's still just kind of clouded, angry, hatred, and he doesn't know it.
He gaslit him. Like, Sidious Palpatine basically gaslights him to get the version of Anakin that he wants. right? I
Yeah.
don't think he ever learns that he didn't kill Padme. He kind of did, but not, not completely.
What
Not the way he thought he did,
What I thought would have made a more epic ending to the show, and people would have been talking about it for generations to come if they had done this. Reva shows up on Tatooine to kill Luke to take revenge on Vader, and as she's walking up to the house, Vader stops her. But they already, I know they already had their lightsaber duel.
Why would he let that happen?
Because it's his son, and he doesn't want.
Why? Okay, I get what you're saying, but okay, so let's say he knows Luke's on Tatooine. Why wouldn't he take him? Why doesn't he take him if he knows that he's there?
To show the struggle that Luke talks about in Jedi.
Why wouldn't Vader want to rear his son? Because this is what when Vader finds out he has a kid, his whole goal is, all right, we are going to team up and we are going to take out the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's the rule of two. Why wouldn't he raise his son from jump?
Because maybe he's too afraid the Emperor would take him.
Which is what happened, which is true. Vader, because the Emperor does the same thing.
Right.
So, okay. I mean, like, I'm talking myself into saying, I kind of see where you're coming from on it. I can acknowledge that the theory holds water. I don't know if I buy it though, but I can acknowledge it's a good theory. Don?
I have a question.
Okay.
Did Luke see Reva's lightsaber? Here's something I was trying to think of, because remember, when Obi-Wan first, hey, this is a lightsaber. Like, I'm pretty sure Luke should have been like, oh yeah, some lady was swinging a red one of those around when I was a kid trying to kill me.
To be fair, he's running.
That's what I'm saying. Like this, I think that like he didn't actually see it, but boy, they skirt that line. Like,
to be fair, at the end of the show,
a lot of lines being skirted on this show. Yeah.
To be fair, at the end of the show, Obi-Wan talks to Luke, introduces him, gives him a toy, and has probably got a lightsaber hanging on his belt when he's talking to him.
Right.
Yeah, but if you don't know, if you're a kid and you don't know what something is, you can see it and be like, I don't know what that is. Like, we'll put it this way: I've looked in the engine of a car numerous times. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at to this day.
True.
But, and I'm sorry, I got some dogs in the background going ape shit. I do not believe though, Vader. I don't believe he knows Luke's there. I don't, or else he would have been swooped up. Because he believe me, he's really pissed off about how that whole situation with Padme went down. He's in this fucking suit because of the Emperor. Like, he could get an upgraded, more comfortable suit, and he won't do it.
Yeah, because he's all into like pain. He's like a goth.
Right. Like, the only time he's not in pain and comfortable, he's like the ultimate Star Wars goth.
He's listening to The Cure. Like, yep. in his back to tank,
right? That's the only time he's comfortable.
Miserable, right?
Vader
he's like jammed out.
He's got some AirPods.
Jammed out to Robert Smith.
Yeah.
Friday, I'm in love with you. Yeah, I can totally see it. Like, he's just miserable all the time.
I did like that they cemented the "I killed Anakin" story.
Yes.
I saw a meme that goes, "You told me my father was dead. He killed my father," and the meme goes, "That's what he told me." I was just quoting him.
That's what it is. No, I mean, back to kind of making it right, going back to legitimizing being called Darth, and going back. I love them, like, just matching up and those loopholes and goofy shit making sense now. But we also got to see Qui-Gon, and that was another one of my check boxes. Is I wanted to see Obi-Wan Force commune with Qui-Gon, which is really cool. Although he did also look kind of goofy, but it was still cool.
Yeah, I can live with it.
Yeah, you can.
In retrospect, I do like how Obi-Wan always said Darth like a dweeb.
You're only a master of evil, Darth.
Darth.
So now it's like we know it's a dig.
Okay, Darth.
Yeah, Darth.
That's how I choose to hear it for the rest of my life.
You're crying over. Okay, you're crying over Padmame, and now you're Darth. Okay, Darth. Buddy.
He is. He's an absolute goth, sitting in his back to tank, crying,
listening to The Cure.
You can't see his tears because he's in back already.
Bitching. How cool was it when the helmet gets destroyed? And we see
modulator.
We see it, and the voice breaks, and you hear it slips between James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen, and you get the most human look at Darth Vader. I think it's more human here than when we see him at the end of Jedi, and he's kind of like this regretful old man that's like, well, God, I just fucked my whole life up. Like, you see the real Darth Vader. Like, and it's nowhere near as intimidating, right? It just tells you just how much of a facade everything about Darth Vader truly is. I love that sequence. It's so good.
Yeah. That's kind of like the the idea of Batman and Bruce Wayne, two separate people, Darth Vader and Anakin. Like, yeah, you're right. And you get a look into that at the end there. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, man.
And the red lighting.
Oh, and the red and blue. God, the cinematography is so good. Like when Vader starts to slip, he's slipped by red, and then he gets mad again. Because one thing about Hayden Christensen, he always did like these eyes, like his eyes would burn when he gets angry. And I'm convinced that's why he had cast him, because he could look angry really, really well. And they just splashed the red light on him. God, the cinematography was so good. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then I wonder how much, Qui-Gon, the actor.
Liam
Neeson got paid for that one line. And he probably wasn't even there. He was just shot on a green screen somewhere.
No, he's there, because there's a great little meme floating around of him wearing him with an umbrella and all that. Like, he is actually on set.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's great. There's a great meme. I highly advise you to go find it. It's pretty funny. Yeah, they brought him in. It's crazy. They get it. I don't think he worked for scale to do that.
No, I'm sure not.
It was cool though. I mean, like, stuff like that is what makes these new Star Wars things so much fun, is that we get to see Liam Neeson come back. We get to see Hayden Christensen come back. This whole thing was about Ewan McGregor. So we can't do this forever, right? Like, this is why this worked and Solo didn't. It's because we actually brought the real people actors back.
Yeah.
Like, we can't do it forever, right? I don't think we're able to do something like this again. So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's my next question. Both Hayden Christensen and Ian McGregor said they would love to do a season 2.
Where do you go?
That's the question. Where do you go? Would you want a season 2, and where would you go with it?
I say no, but in reality, if they had a story, like if, oh God, I can't think of his name, Dave Filoni comes out and he gets this great idea for Obi-Wan season 2, I'm all in. Mainly if it gets more of the continuity nerds angry, I'm definitely all in.
Do you bring Reva back and flesh out her story more?
No, I feel like we're done with her. Like, we get so few complete story arcs for like one specific character in Star Wars. I really feel like she has a nice complete story, and like I feel like I can be done with it. If they figured out something else, I'm cool with it. But I mean, like, I feel good with where we ended with her.
Yeah, I definitely could. Yeah, I don't need that. What I need is, they mentioned Quinlan Vos, which is a Jedi that obviously survived Order 66. At the end of this series, Obi-Wan is basically saying, okay, I'm more open to you, like, calling on me when you need to do shit, when he's talking to Bail Organa. So I would definitely think that they're going to do another series, and they've already kind of got some threads there with those other Jedis and shit that survived. Again, they named, I don't think they said Quinlan Vos, but anyway, his name was etched into that hideout. So they definitely can do some cool stuff. I don't want to see, I don't know though. I don't know if I want to see Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader anymore though. I think I kind of want to, I think they need to skirt each other for the rest of the,
That's the reason, like, I don't see them doing a season 2, because having them fight again, I think, takes away from this.
Part of me would have said I would like to see an Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, but I feel like we've explored Boba Fett enough, right?
I think you're going to see more. I think they're going to go like full-blown Mandalore for him. So I don't know. That's just me.
I don't know.
They've already set it up.
We kind of left, like, if you haven't watched Rebels, right, you don't know the Darth Maul trajectory. So I wouldn't mind, because we just get kind of left hanging with him at the end of Solo. And I mean, like, it doesn't seem like Solo's anything they're interested in revisiting, for good reason. So I would like to see Darth Maul get touched again, right? Because I feel like there's still stuff we can do with him in a live action format.
You could. It would have to be before A New Hope and before because he eventually goes to Tatooine, because Maul discovers Luke. And so he goes to Tatooine and Obi-Wan stops him in convincing fashion. So, but you certainly can. You absolutely can, because he is alive for a while. Obi-Wan is old and gray. So during Obi-Wan this series, Maul is still around.
We get a decade, realistically. There's an entire decade that they can play with and do something with Obi-Wan. Yep. I like that they got him off world. I like that we didn't stay on Tatooine for this whole series. So
do you... Oh, and we also didn't mention the other cameo we got. Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor.
Yes, that was my other checkbox. I wanted to see some sort of Vader Palpatine dialogue, and we did. That was
where
cool.
he's telling him, like, stop obsessing about Obi-Wan. He just kicked your butt.
And he lies to him and says he did because he never stops.
Yeah. So here's a question: do you bring in Ahsoka?
Ahsoka,
sorry,
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano. That's what I meant to say.
Well, she's going to have her own series.
I know she's going to have her own series, and that's taking place after Jedi. But this is
she is around,
right?
She absolutely is around. Yeah, you could weave her in there too. The Ahsoka Tano show could become the Obi-Wan show. I don't know.
I just finished Shadows of the Empire, right? I really like that book a lot. I think Prince Shizor is a character that hasn't gotten play in the traditional universe. Then because this is all legend stuff, you could take him and transpose him. And the idea of Black Sun is really cool. So I mean, like, you could do something like that with him that'd be a little different, which I would like to see.
What if they took Prince Zizor's role somehow and inserted Maul? It was, Maul in the Black Sun or Maul in the Crime Syndicate. Yeah.
Totally cool with that. I like the idea of crime because we keep thinking we're going to get like Crime Syndicate stuff, and we really don't get Crime Syndicate stuff. Like they flirted with it in Mandalorian, and they flirted with it again in Book of Boba Fett, but we really, it's like they say they're going to do it, but it's like they really don't want to do that. They want to do the space fair stuff. So I would really like to see, I think either Shizor or Maul, or perhaps both, where they're trying to kill each other. Two mob bosses. Give me the Godfather in space. That'd be badass. Dave Filoni, you can pay me. I will gladly write this for you. Do it on the cheap too. Like, I think there's a lot of like the dark side of the, like, dark side is the wrong term. There's a lot of the grimy side of the Star Wars universe that I think is largely unexplored that we could have some fun with.
Agreed. I think there's stuff they've left lying on the floor.
What's nice is they could grab it any time now with these Disney shows. You can just do a Star Wars show when you want it.
Though I will say I've seen this a couple of times, and I'm like, people are like, we need to see more Reva. She's the closest thing we've ever gotten to a great Jedi, and it's just like Lucasfilm and George Lucas have come out and said there's no such thing as a gray Jedi. You're not going to get one. Like, there's a light side and a dark side. There is no. Like, they're not a Jedi. That's the whole thing. Like,
right. No, I don't know why people latch on to that. I think there must be KOTOR fans because that's where that's prevalent. There are those type of Jedi though, like the whole sequels, the whole light and the dark thing with Kylo Ren. Like, I don't quite get people's obsession with that. Qui-Gon is kind of a, Jedi Jesus. He's
Jedi Jesus.
He's, Plow Koon uses force lightning every now and then. Like, there's.
I think people are into the idea of the morally gray because it's easier to sympathize with a morally gray character than it is to sympathize with not a perfect wrong term, but like a morally right character. It's like part of the thing of Superman.
Right.
People have a hard time sympathizing with Superman. So if you have a gray Jedi, well, then I get all the stuff I like from the Jedi, and I get a little moral ambiguity in there, which of course defeats the purpose of a Jedi. So I mean, like,
that character's called Ahsoka. Ahsoka's right there. Yeah. She's right there.
And hopefully that's what you get when we get her show.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we all liked it.
Great show.
It's a good show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome.
And I'm gonna ask, and I know the answer, but JD, have you watched Miss Marvel at all yet?
You know the answer to that question. You hear that car? You hear those cars racing by? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's down my street. One of the busiest streets in Philly. All right, Don, have you caught up on Miss Marvel?
No, I watched the first episode, but I will tell you because the show's not for me. My 7-year-old daughter has picked up on it. Now, the first time I watched it, she was in the room, not really paying attention, but then she came back to it and watched it herself, and now she's starting to go on to the series. And she's called her Supergirl a couple times. I've had to say, no, it's Miss Marvel. But my 7-year-old daughter, unprompted, is liking it. So there you go. Listen, I don't understand marketing, but the people that do understand it really understand it, and I think they've done well here.
Oh, it's definitely it's got a Spider-Man feel, and I think I could see how, not just girls though. I could see this appealing to any young person. It's just really well done. It's well written. It's shot well. They do all these little touches to make it kind of feel more like a comic book here and there, and it's really good. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know some people are complaining that they've changed things, but
they've changed a lot from the comic. Yeah.
Hey, that's so 10 years ago, right? Like we should be over that. I'm over that right by now. I mean, so
Yes and no. I mean, Marvel's stayed the most true for most of the heroes' origins, and they've completely changed her origin too. So not just her power set, but her origin. But that's fine. You know, like if it works, I feel like they changed her power set because they know they're doing Fantastic Four, and they don't want to have her come out with the same
Right.
powers as Reed Richards before Reed Richards comes out.
right, and they're also going to stay away from Inhuman. So that
Yeah,
totally
and then
makes sense.
that's the other thing. She's an Inhuman in the comics. So
Can I be honest? I always thought her powers were stupid. Like as far as the characters, like I've never read a ton of Miss Marvel, but the little bit I have read, character is interesting. I thought the powers were kind of dumb. I think she essentially has what power cosmic basically in this, right?
yeah,
So I
basically.
think that's far more interesting than I can inflate myself, you know, especially when we have
Yes,
Reed Richards
and
coming in.
they've kind of tied her origin more into Middle Eastern mythology as well
Good.
in the show. So I think that
Yeah.
works as well. Oops. Sorry, I knocked something over. You know, like spoilers, you know, I won't say everything, but like basically they use jinn, that like her powers come from like what they call the jinn, and which is a genie basically,
Yeah.
and you know, Aladdin and the lamp and all
right,
that
like
stuff.
DJINN, right?
Mhm.
The Jin. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Like
Oh,
they've
sounds cool.
tied it into that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like that is a good thing to do. You know.
I'll definitely catch up on it.
I wrote a horror book about the Jinn. My first
Yeah.
book. Re-released this October. Always be closed. Always be closed. Yeah, I'm not going to check it out. It's not for me. I'm not interested in it. And like I said,
I think you would like it.
I probably would, but I'm super cool. I haven't watched Moon Knight. Like, I don't know, man. I'm
I
a little
put Moon Knight, on
I'm
the
a
list
little
first.
I'm a little over the Marvel TV thing because like I don't know why. Like I'm
You're
not
saturated.
I'm feeling super saturated right now. You know what I feel like? I feel like I went out for pizza 5 days in a row, and I love pizza, but I'm just kind of sick of pizza. But every now and then, like when Spider-Man came out, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get me some pizza tonight. Doctor Strange, yeah, gotta get some pizza, but I only watched it once, and I loved the Doctor Strange movie. But normally I'd watch it 2 or 3 times, and my wife watched it the other night because it's on Disney, and she's like, "You want to watch it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." You know,
I kind of feel like they missed the boat in their releasing. I think they should have done. Okay, WandaVision was strong, so start off with WandaVision, start off strong, but then like the newer characters, I think they should have either started with them or intermixed the shows like that, instead of doing, you know, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye right away, where it was like, well, we already know these characters, you know, like
I have really liked the release schedule of the Star Wars shows, right? Where I feel like I have some cushion between them.
Yeah.
That being said, it does not look like it will stay that way.
no.
So there's a good chance in a year I'm feeling the same way about Star Wars.
Right, because
You
they just did Obi-Wan, and now I think we're getting season 3 of The Mandalorian, so it's like,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like I feel kind of burnt out a little bit on.
all right.
On the
Well,
Marvel.
speaking of things that make you feel burnt out, let's do some social media madness.
I'd forgotten that was even a thing.
Real quick, start off. Of course, we announced that last week on Twitter we weren't doing a show, and Drew C.
My guy.
Yeah, he said, "Sad panda, been hitting refresh all morning. Hope everyone is well, especially John." So, John,
Yeah,
your fans miss you.
Drew's a good guy, man. I like Drew a lot.
All right, now following up with Obi-Wan, I know Don is chomping at the bit for this one. So Casson Ward said, "I don't think the Darth Vader scene with the fire was plausible. It's the result of emotional high crashing into plot armor, resulting in an implausible mess. If Darth Vader wanted to continue his hunt for the thrill of it, then show it. And it wouldn't and it wouldn't require that much change. Have Darth Vader drag Kenobi through the fire before him. Have Darth Vader lift him in the air. Add a few lines of dialogue. You're not the man I seek. You are weak, undeserving. Go. Find who you once were. Find him and I will kill him." That would have done so much to keep the disgrace of Kenobi and establish a plausible reason for Darth Vader to let him go. As it stands, the scene only establishes that Darth Vader is easily distracted and leaves one to wonder how he can use the Force in any battles at all. So you reply to it, Don, so why don't you read your reply?
We see Vader rip a ship out of the sky and open it like a tuna can. He could have easily killed Kenobi in the fire scene, but he doesn't. He doesn't want Kenobi dead. He wants him to suffer. The emotional connection between these two characters is the deepest there is in fiction. Yeah. Imagine, JD, if you will, you write an awesome TV series and someone comes along and says, hey, this is how you should have wrote it. Like, Jesus.
I've had that happen. I've had that, not with TV shows, but I've had that happen where people tell me. So here's the thing is this is what they tell you when writing. This guy's an author, so I'm not going to critique his works. I've never read any of his work, but in writing classes and writing books that I've read, you're told never to say exactly what the character is thinking. You never say exactly. Oftentimes George Lucas did. So there is a precedent for this in Star Wars, but we're dealing with, quite frankly, better writers now. You never say what the character is thinking. You never say everything. Like there's a certain level of critical interpretation that's supposed to be given to any piece of art, right? So you are left to determine why Vader didn't, why that scene goes up. I mean, like Don provides a phenomenal example that I see people take the opposite way and saying that's too strong a use of the Force. I don't know if I agree with that. Like I said, I'm of the mind that there's no such thing as vampires. So you can use it every way you want to kill them as long as you back it up. I agree 100% what you say, Don. And I don't think having the character say exactly what's on his mind is the way to do it in any sequence, right? You're supposed to interpret. You're supposed to read between the gutters, as they say in comics. Yeah. And just saying, do you say exactly what's on your mind at all times in your real life? The answer is no. No, because we don't function like that. And this is what drives me nuts. People say, well, why would he do this? This doesn't make sense. It's like, well, people do things all the time that don't make sense. People make bad decisions. That's life. And life, like art is supposed to take from life. Like characters are more interesting when they're making bad decisions. And I agree with this 100%. I think Don's spot on right here. He wants to torture Obi-Wan, not kill him. Because it's different. Like even when he says he's like the Grand Inquisitor's like he's just a Jedi, and Obi-Wan's like, or Vader's like he's not just a Jedi, right? It's different. It's personal. It's super personal with Vader with this, right? And Vader does want to strike him down, but like even when he gets his chance, like he plays with Obi-Wan a little bit. Did you guys ever see the fan edit of the Kenobi Vader fight? Yes. Someone like 5 or 6 years ago put like a fan edit together, and I like it. It's newer styled, but I think it's pretty good. Like they did the best they could with the limited budget and time that they had, right? So we're beyond 1977. We have to let things move beyond 1977. So I mean, like, I don't know, dude. I think this scene, I thought everything about that was perfect because again, Vader doesn't want to kill Obi-Wan. He just wants them to feel fire. Just feel the fire. Feel it the way I felt it, burn a little bit. And then I'll get you again because that's part of the fun. I want you to know I'm after you. I want you to know that I'm coming. And then he loses because, again, it's his arrogance that beats him. And that's the stuff of good fiction. Like, that's what good fiction is like the foundation of. Like, is people overestimate themselves. People underestimate their opponents. Obi-Wan has to overcome. Like, I'm disappointed that we had to actually, like, deal with this kind of criticism,
Yeah, no, I agree. And it doesn't make sense. And I will say this, I believe that post was made before the final episode came out,
possibly, so
he didn't get to see he hadn't seen that final lightsaber with Obi-Wan and Darth yet, but still, yeah, like I don't get it. It's like, and I do think people wanted Obi-Wan just to come out and start kicking butt right away.
That's what I mean. Like, again, for everybody critiquing Superman about being boring, everybody wants everyone to do these characters do what Superman would do, you know, come in, kick ass, take names, no real drama, just give me the scene. Give me like the scene, which we get. We got the scene. Right. We got Obi-Wan launching giant boulders at Vader and destroying his mask. You got it. And they smartly made you wait to the last episode. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know, Dave. All
right. And the last thing was we talked about the Joker sequel one of the last times we got together. And, we asked if the sequel takes away from the first movie, to which Random Randy Savage said, only the film bros want another one of these so that they can fulfill the hole left in their hearts from all the women who won't sleep with them. Film bros, she's gone. Move on.
He ain't lying.
And then Globe Shoulders, who's at Chris the First, said, Nobody wanted the first one. Movie sucked. Nothing happened. We didn't need 2 goddamn Venom movies either. I would have preferred they made Morbius actually good instead of into a meme bait.
Okay, well, he's got a point. No one wanted the first Joker, but I have to admit, when you watch it, it is kind of interesting, especially at the end there. Like, it was a really shocking scene, but I never wanted to go back to it. We didn't need 2 goddamn Venom movies. I would add without Spider-Man. You put Spider-Man in there, I'd been thrilled to have 2 Venom movies by now. And Morbius, no, they didn't need to make that at all. There's no way. No one cares about Morbius.
Though I did like Joker the first time when it was called Taxi Driver. So anyway,
yeah.
That also brings me. I didn't include these in the news. I forgot. But since we're talking Joker, the sequel has been confirmed to be a musical.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga was playing Harley Quinn.
This is
I want the movie even less now.
But this isn't. But you know what? It's not for us. Like, this is a comic book movie, not for comic book geeks. Honestly, this is because Hollywood at large has said, we like this. They made the first Joker and made a lot of money, and it's just weird. It's weird to have 2 Batman universes. One for, I don't know, the Oscar types, and then then we got the Batmans. It's weird. I get it, but I'm telling you,
if they had made the graphic novel Joker, which is one of the best things I've ever read, and it's along the lines of that movie, but it's done so much better in my opinion. Like, I think that would have been so much better, but it's not. The story's told through one of the henchmen of the Joker's, who's like looking at him and looking at his life and how, like, and that's part of it is like part of the whole thing going on through the whole story is like he's living this like high gangster life, but then in the background he's always afraid because the Batman's always hunting him, and then at the end of the book Batman catches him and takes him back to Arkham. But yeah,
I think we have to accept the fact that this, like Don said, this isn't for us, right? They found a different when they released the first Joker movie, they found a different audience that connected, and it is for like this is a movie for like quote people who are like more cinephiles, right? people who are dig the Scorsese-esque approach to this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think we're even going past this. I think the concept of it's too far out for me. But again, why not do something different? If the first one worked and you're being different, be different. Like it's very ambitious. I'll say that. But again, not for me. So whatever.
But yeah, Lady Gaga in a musical with Joaquin Phoenix. It sounds just like a giant shitbox, but it's probably going to get awards and shit.
Yeah, probably.
But it sounds terrible.
Yeah,
I will probably have to watch it because my wife loves musicals.
My wife doesn't, so I'm lucky. But
my wife loves musicals. She rarely makes me actually watch them, but
it could be an absolute disaster.
Morbid curiosity may win the day.
This could be an absolute disaster, or it could win $1 billion Oscars. Like, I don't know.
It's musical ambitious. Joker. God, that's like Batman Brave and the Bold shit.
It really is. It really is.
A Music Man episode.
Well, that's all the social media madness. So if you want to know how you can follow us on social media and be part of social media madness, here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right. Thanks for that, Don. And you know what? While you're here, why don't you tell the people where they can find the Omega Level Nerds podcast?
Well, you can find it on YouTube and Podbean. To be truthful, I have some sort of RSS problems on Apple, but it's a video show, which is, of course, on YouTube. So just search Omega Level Nerds. We're doing Dragon Ball Z Abridged reactions, starting to do some like death battle reactions, things of that nature. And hopefully, JD 8-Bit Ray and anyone else interested in doing kind of an Obi-Wan panel, I want to do like an hour deep dive into the series. So hopefully that'll be on there soon. So just search Omega Level Nerds on YouTube or Podbean.
All right, cool. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we've got just a little bit of news this week and not much else going on. Of course, we'll start with the sad news that happened since our last episode. One of our favorite artists on the show, Tim Sale, passed away at the age of 66. Yeah. You know what? I don't remember what he passed away from. I guess I could bring the article up. But yeah, like this kind of hit me because I've always been attracted to art by artists who have their own style, you know, their own take on things. And Tim Sale definitely was one of those artists.
So you like his zero art style?
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, I had to have Google read it to me like 8 times, and that's why I wanted to hurry up and say it so I don't screw it up. But yeah, the light and shading, chiaroscuro, was the style that he used. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like the Long Halloween works because of his art, I think. You know?
Oh yeah,
I agree.
His stuff definitely fits the Batman world for sure, with the light and the dark, absolutely. And I love the suit. I like the gray with the dark blue cape and cowl. Like that's just super iconic for Batman to me.
I liked his interpretation of superheroes, especially in the era, because it was coming off Image, right? And everything was just so bold and like, you know, superhero-y and Liefeld-esque and, you know, those McFarlaneisms. And then here comes Tim Sale, right? And it was just very artsy, but very good. And like, it's, man, I still love Long Halloween. It's my favorite Batman story. I even like Dark Victory. Like it's just in Haunted Night, I think it's called, the Halloween trilogy. Like it's everything he does is good. Like in Heroes, he's a big part of Heroes, which for one season was one of the best shows in television history. Like that first season of Heroes, like some people might even remember that, but back in like 2006, there was before the Marvel movie thing got going, and you know all we had was like we didn't even have Batman.
CW.
No, this is pre-CW. Like this was like nothing was happening. Like we had just had Batman Begins came out, and that was really it. Like we got this show called Heroes, which was like essentially X-Men, like very X-Men-y, but different. And Tim Sale did all the art for it because the art was a very big part of that first season, and it was fantastic. And this is a shame, man. Him and Jeff Loeb were one of the best teams. Like I don't love Jeff Loeb's work unless he's with Tim Sale. I thought that Tim Sale brought the best in him, and it's been a rough year for legendary artists.
Yeah. And actually, it doesn't say in the article on Deadline what he passed away from. So
I think it might have been cancer.
I would imagine at 66. That's kind of
kidney failure.
Oh, kidney failure. Okay,
kidney failure. But yeah, I mean, super influential because we've already talked about, Batman The Long Halloween, which basically, again, I mean, you can't say enough about it and how important it is. Somewhat loose framework for the Dark Knight movie, which to many is the best there is. Then he did Catwoman When in Rome.
That's a good one too, yeah.
Our current Reeves Batman is kind of, that's where, because in that story, that's where she's Falcone's estranged daughter. So, although I his Superman to me was always kind of weird though, like 40% of the face is chin, but like JD said though, this is compared to Liefeld, everything's metal, spiky pouches, bad feet, like, and then you get more of the calmer. But I did see a meme recently where they're calling it like Fat Superman, but nonetheless, it's still, what was that, Superman for all season?
Yes.
They kind of did like each season, so that was cool. So yeah, I mean, as far as the X-Men world, he did a Wolverine and Gambit, so I can't claim to have read that, but yeah, I mean, him, George Perez, Neil Adams, like it's been a trifecta so far, so it sucks, but yeah, it's a sad day. Great shit from Tim Sales.
Yeah.
Go read the
Sale. Sorry.
Go read The Long Halloween again, because it's better than you think it is. I know we reviewed it like 2 years ago, probably on the show now.
God, was it that long ago? Maybe. Yeah.
It was during the pandemic because there was nothing to do.
Yes.
So roughly around that time. Like it's good stuff.
Do you like his Spider-Man Blue? That's another guys like that.
I don't like their Marvel stuff. Excuse me, as much as their DC stuff. Like they also did Daredevil Yellow, Captain America White,
Hulk Gray.
Hulk Gray. They're good. I think Jeff Loeb is better in the DC universe. Personally,
I agree.
I just think his talents line up, his sensibilities. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. His sensibilities line up better with DC than with Marvel, in my opinion. And, I think that Sale's Superman is a lot like the Wayne Boring Superman of the early 50s. Like it is like a huskier Superman, if you will, but that's fine. It's artistic interpretation. It is what it is.
No, yeah, you're right. It's definitely like a 50s thing.
Yeah.
I remember old VHS tape where Superman takes down a laser from the Japanese guy.
Oh, that's the Fleischer stuff, man. That's
kind of racist, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little racist,
but yeah. No, it's awesome stuff though.
All right. Well, Godspeed, good sir. Moving on, let's talk about DC some more. So, well, it's funny. Marvel, it has been confirmed Marvel will have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con this year, next month, coming up. And also, along those lines, I forgot that I saw Kevin Feige said they will soon announce what the next phase of the MCU is going to focus on. So I kind of feel like they're going to do that at San Diego.
Vampires.
So you're getting ahead of the game. Is that it?
Vampire.
Well, they got Blade and Morbius.
More vampires.
But on the flip side of that, DC and Warner Brothers will not have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con.
Warner Brothers will, just not DC. Like,
well, Warner, no DC film stuff.
Yeah,
Warner Brothers. DC.
I said this to you earlier because in the wrestling circles I'm in, like they're making a big deal because AEW is going to have this big presence at Comic-Con, and they said, yeah, but no DC, and I kind of went, whoa, back up. So none of the CW shows, none of the movie stuff. Like I know they're trying to hold back for fandom, but I mean even publishing, they're not doing much for which they haven't had a booth in years for DC, and it's just going to be Jim Lee's going to do a smattering of panels, which is weird because we're pushing a crisis right now. So I was surprised.
I am very surprised. You would think, like, okay, granted, with their movies, they have some issues right now with the people they've cast in these things.
That's true. Like, and Ezra Miller is currently having the world's longest breakdown, and we don't seem to be doing anything about it. So,
is he still missing? The last thing I saw, he was like, the authorities couldn't find him.
I think he's holed up now with a mother and some kids. And I saw a thing about a baby. They got a picture of the baby had a bullet in his mouth. Like literally it was just like put a live bullet in his, like, it's just, this is a thing that is going on with this guy, and the authorities need to step in at some point.
I've long been complaining about that dude, how he could, just do what he does on camera. And I wonder if that's why they're not going to do something like this. Well, there's got to be several reasons. JD's already mentioned they want to save money. So you can save money there. But what if they don't have nothing? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't ask me no questions. I'll tell you no lies. You know?
Well, I mean, they could be pushing Black Adam. They could be pushing.
That's a surprise that they're not pushing Black Adam harder. That is a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's Comic-Con,
Yeah, that's your audience right there. Like, yeah, I don't get it. Like,
it's
you
weird.
think Dwayne Johnson would show up and do a panel or something? Like, yeah,
it's weird, man.
Very strange. What else do they have coming out? Aquaman 2.
Batman, but it's a while.
Aquaman 2 with less poops in the bed.
Well, what are they doing with it? I know they said they're taking her out. Have they recasted Mary?
The last I heard, they haven't recast her. They've just greatly reduced her screen. So
the movie's in a flux right now. Boy, have they made some poor business decisions when it comes to who to work with and when it comes to these superhero movies, man. Like, it's rough. It's real rough right now with them. This is like I said, the CEO wants to cut $3 billion from the budget. Like, the CW shows, the CW itself might be gone. That's the latest rumor I've heard, is they might be selling it off.
Wow, again?
I mean, like, it's not doing anything for you, right?
Yeah, not at this point, I don't think.
So I think everything's kind of wrapping up, and they're looking for a buyer. I don't know who picks that up. Maybe Sinclair or something like that. But
Disney.
I don't know. I don't think Disney wants
Disney buys everything. Oh,
not everything.
So that was the other thing. That this just broke today. I should have included it. Apparently, Disney is now offering Johnny Depp $300 million to come back as Captain Jack Sparrow.
My kid's gonna be happy because he just saw Pirates for the first time a couple weeks ago and absolutely loved it.
So, like, I don't like, but he said he never wants to work with them again. Does he hold his true to his guns, or does he take the money?
Long lawsuit when you don't have a lot of work lined up can change a man's opinion on anything.
True. So,
And the Harry Potter stuff, right? That's Warner, right? That's on the Warner side.
That's Warner.
Okay. And they completely shit on him, took him out, recast him. And now, fast forward to now, he just won a huge PR victory, basically. And he did come out with that statement about his involvement with the Jack Sparrow character and how personal it was. So I could definitely see Disney wanting to be on the right side of that, at least on the perception, the PR perception here, and extend an olive branch and take him away from Warner, or just keep him away from Warner. I could see, because right, Johnny Depp returns as Jack Sparrow. That's going to get pop.
Oh yeah,
people are going to go.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take my kid to it because he loves. Said he's into pirates. He loves Pirates of the Caribbean. He wants to dress like Captain Jack.
Yeah, exactly. The people that run Disney are not stupid. They knew as soon as he won that lawsuit, they were like, all right, back the Binks truck up because that movie will make $1 billion. So
Disney could use another $1 billion.
Yeah, I know. They're suffering. Mouse has got to eat.
A lot of cheese.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, and then last but not least, this is something we've speculated about on this podcast a couple times, but Jake Schreier has been tapped to direct Thunderbolts. So, Thunderbolts movies. What do we think, guys?
How do you do it is my question. What makes Thunderbolts so cool is that the most famous thing about Thunderbolts is the first issue that Kurt Busiek did, right? And Mark Bagley, where you have that reveal that the heroes are actually villains. So we have a Zemo. So like the groundwork is kind of already laid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, like, you're never going to get that reveal because, I mean, unless all the comics people like say be cool to the MCU fans and let them have that moment. I don't think they will, but it would be cool. Like, unless you do Suicide Squad, Marvel style.
And there's all these people saying, "Oh, well, you do the U.S. Agent and Abomination and blah." It's like that's not. No,
I mean, yeah, you can do that. It's like, we're just going to do a Marvel, but I mean, that's what's the thing about about Thunderbolts is they're villains that are trying to pull one over on people until they're ready to be heroes, right? And that's the conflict of it. Is half of them actually do want to be superheroes, and half of them just want to keep the con going. So, could it be done? Yes. I don't quite know the angle they want to take on it, but I'm curious.
What if they use this as a way to introduce Deadpool to the MCU? Because when I think Thunderbolts and I think of popular Thunderbolts characters, I mean, there's many, but to me, the big two, Red Hulk, the General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. It'd be funny to see what they do with his mustache, because in the comic book, he doesn't retain the mustache when he hulks up, and that's controversy. But anyway, and Deadpool. What would you think if that's how they introduce Deadpool to the MCU?
Underwhelming.
You don't think?
For Deadpool, I think it's underwhelming. I think Deadpool doesn't need to be attached to any franchise. I think you could just put out Deadpool 3 and you're golden. But then again, I could see them using Deadpool to lift the rest of the franchise, but it's not what I want to see. I want to see Deadpool be Deadpool in his own thing.
Yeah.
Dog agrees with me.
No, I agree too. I mean, like, we've already had 2 strong Deadpool movies, so the idea of like using him as a vehicle for Thunderbolts, yeah. Unless I could see a joke in the movie, him showing up at the end, maybe.
I could see that.
His application was denied or something. He tried to get on the team but couldn't.
I would rather see Deadpool try to lift the X-Men,
Yeah.
I would rather see them do that because it's an easy one, right? It's easy to pull X-Men or to pull Deadpool in and then use that to introduce X-Men. We teased it with, Doctor Strange. We teased it with WandaVision. Like, I want this new MCU next slate to just be a giant X. That's all.
Yeah.
Giant X. I want a rebooted X-Men universe. Whether we bring Jackman back or not, I don't care. I just want X-Men.
I don't want Jackman back. I really don't.
Yeah.
I can go either way.
Give a short guy the role.
He's not short anymore, though. You know, they kind of did away with that a long time ago.
Did they?
Oh yeah, he's not 6'3", but he's like, if you look at Wolverine in any of the current comics, he's, you know, average to above average comic character height. He ain't 5'2" anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't make him as squatty as they used to.
But did they do that because Hugh Jackman played him and they wanted to make it more?
Probably had lots of it, but even in Jim Lee's Wolverine isn't John Byrne's Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he was probably up to like 5'9" when Jim Lee was drawing him. You know, he's like 5'2" when Danny DeVito, when John Byrne was drawing him. Like, so
that's it. Have Danny
bigger.
DeVito play Wolverine.
There's a picture that someone drew. I can't remember who, of Danny DeVito as Wolverine. Is Don's muted? Don, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm yelling at dogs.
Oh, okay. I thought you were had a thing to contribute. Yeah, there is a picture out there somewhere. I don't know. Just give me X-Men. We're ready.
Just give me X-Men. Yeah.
X-Men
but seriously, we got to do, like, I don't know. I'm just so nervous. I really think we need a multi-pronged approach to introducing the X-Men. There's just so many characters. So I think we need some shows first. We need an Xavier Magneto show and a Scott and Jean show. I don't know.
Do you start with Xavier and Magneto because we've had so much that, or do you start with something a little bit different to kind of get in? I don't know what that is. I'm just spitballing at the moment, you know, because the 20th Century Fox people left very few stones unturned, surprisingly, when it came to the major moments. So I'm not sure. Do you retread, or do you try something? I don't have an answer.
Or
I'm just wondering.
Do you start with the actual original team from the books?
I definitely think that they're going to. So, okay, chronologically, I want the first 5 X-Men, but but if they just come out with a show or movie and it's just those people, the original 5, I don't see that working.
There's no way studio's going to let that happen.
Yeah, they're not. There's no way anyone's going to put, and this kind of sucks, but there's just no way they're going to put a lot of money into an X-Men property without Wolverine. You know, all the popular ones. I just think Magneto and Xavier's theories and ideologies are just at the very basis and fabric of just the X-Men world.
I agree.
And I'm not saying you should spend a lot of time on it. Hell, you're going to have to somehow write Magneto as not a decrepit old guy in 2020 if you stick with the World War II stuff. That's a major hurt. Now, he's been DH'd in the comics, and we've had enough comic booky shit in the movies to where they could pull it off, but they're really going to have to just do a good job of either A, removing Magneto from the whole Holocaust, or explaining how he's still a threat, 80 years after or whatever.
No, you could do. And now, Don, this might be apocryphal or controversial. What is your thoughts on the Ultimate Universe version of the X-Men where the mutants were created by Shield?
Yeah, I personally do not like the Ultimate X-Men stuff. I don't.
Yeah, so it's a big departure from what.
But they've been departing because the X-Men aren't even children of the atom anymore. Like the X-Men, the mutants have been around for hundreds, thousands of years at this point. When you look at the Eternals and all that shit, and so that's going to be the curveball too. Is now they're getting ready to do this judgment where the Eternals, because the mutants have found a way to revive themselves, they've now declared mutants deviants, and the Eternals are going to go after the X-Men, and the Avengers have to decide what the fuck they're going to do about it because they have to get involved somehow. So the origins of mutantism itself evolves all the time. So it's not, I don't like the Ultimate Universe, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. It's not. And the Ultimate Universe was always meant to be more movie-like anyway. It was meant to be a jumping on point for people that got into it because of the movies. So they didn't have to go back and know all of the Chris Claremont continuity to enjoy it. So not a favorite move by me, but it's plausible.
The other Ultimate stuff was interesting, but the only place it really worked was Spider-Man. Like the fingerprints of Ultimate Spider-Man are still not just Miles, but I mean, like the Ultimate Peter is very much closer to Tom Holland he's way closer to Tom Holland than what Steve Ditko did in the 60s. Yeah. So that's really it. That's really the only lasting impact of the Ultimate Universe upon what Marvel is now, is the phrase Ultimate Spider-Man. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. Not sure.
I don't know. We'll see. But got a while to wait for X-Men anyway.
Well, I think so too. But what if, remember, they were wanting to possibly do a Black Magneto? And I think if they're going to remove him from the Holocaust, that would totally work. Actually, I think they could do that. I know it's a strong deviation, but I think it could. I think it could work if they decide to move Magneto from the Jewish oppression to perhaps another type of racial oppression. It's a strong deviation from the comics, I know, and I'm not saying I want that, but I wouldn't hate it either.
But I still think you're still having for that to really work, you're still having a Magneto who's in the 50s and 60s, as a kid who really experiences like a lot of the worst of that stuff to come up and
I think there's areas of the country that might go beyond 50s and 60s and as far as treatment of
I get it, but to make it universal, I think you do it during the civil rights movement. So it's like
I agree with Dave on that, but I think that there's such a strong tie with Magneto to the Holocaust that I don't want to. But I mean, at the same token, Marvel ran away when they did Captain America. They ran away from not a depiction of Nazism, which I think was a mistake. I think it was a very cowardly mistake on their part. I think they should have steered into that and shown the Red Skull for what he was, because I think the Nazi ideology is very important to the Red Skull character, right? And being that despicable, disgusting human. And I think that the world of 2011 is very different than I think where we're at now. I would like to see them steer into that, but I could see the Disney organization running away from the Holocaust. But I don't think they should, because I think that is one of the most important character attributes of Magneto, right? Is that, and
I agree.
It's probably the best thing that Bryan Singer ever did with the franchise is just that opening sequence in X-Men, showing you the pain of Magneto and the pain of the Holocaust. So, I mean, I don't want them to run away from it, but I will not be surprised if they did, Yeah.
I mean, they could do, and they could do that, because I agree. I think it's a really quintessential Magneto there is, that opening scene. So you can really understand and sympathize his ideas and what he's doing through. So maybe they could just do some comic booky science crap like, because he can manipulate the metal minerals in his blood, he can age slower or some shit. I don't know.
What if he's captured, right? Like, what if the mutant thing was what if you were able to keep the X-Men to the 60s, right? But the X-Men
I almost think they should,
I think
at least the first one, and then time skip,
what if they're like under, like, because we've seen that with the Winter Soldier where they kind of kept him frozen or whatever. What if we're able to, suspended animation Magneto or Xavier? I don't like this. The more I'm saying this,
they gotta find a way to chop. I know, but they gotta find a way to chop 20 years off. So
minimum, because it's like we're knocking on 100. We're knocking on the door of 100 years since World War II.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like Captain America. They're so identifiable from the era, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you need that. I think Magneto needs to be that, because it's like we talked about Reva, right? Like this understandable villainy, right? Like having sympathy for the devil, sympathy for the villain. And I think that Magneto at times gets too much sympathy. I think, like, I prefer my Magneto to be a villain, but I like when he's a villain that I can sympathize with. Like, I really love the Fassbender portrayal in those X movies. Say what you want about him. I know Dave didn't like those movies, but I mean, I really like Michael Fassbender's Magneto. I think he's really good in the role.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that is all we got to say about the news this week. So I think we can wrap it up for the week. We can go around. Anyone got any recommendations or anything that they learned on the podcast this week? And Don, you can go first.
I'll give you a recommendation, which is, if you're not digging the Obi-Wan series for some reason, I urge you to go check out seasons like 3 through 7 of the Clone Wars and Rebel. No, don't worry about Rebels. Just the Clone Wars stuff, and just reflect on the relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan and what they've gone through and discovered together. How Obi-Wan, the reason why Obi-Wan's my favorite Jedi is because he wasn't corrupted. He talked the talk. He confronted falling in love, but not actually going for it like Anakin. He stayed back and actually had to watch the person he loved get killed by Darth Maul. So he always stayed the course, and he's just a great character. So go watch the Clone Wars and then rewatch Obi-Wan, and you should love it. And if you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you.
All right, JD.
So this weekend I was hanging with the kid, and we're driving, we went to a wrestling show last night, and we'll drive in the car and I'll put stuff on YouTube and I'll watch it, and we'll, I introduce him to like theme songs and whatnot. So we were watching, in wrestling we have forbidden doors where companies cross over, and in comics we have crossovers where characters from different universes can get together, multiverses. My mind was blown this weekend when I saw an amazing crossover that I didn't know was possible. There's a video on YouTube where you can watch the intro to every season of Scooby-Doo and the difference. So we watched that. We were driving. He loves Scooby. And I did too. I was entertained by it. Well, the video auto played on YouTube, went to the very next video, and my mind was blown at what I saw. It was, in fact, the Scooby-Doo gang and Kiss. And it was the video part of I Was Made for Loving You, Baby, which is my favorite Kiss song. And they did this very Scooby-Doo, and I watched the movie when we got home because Andy's like, this song is awesome. And I went, yes, you're right. This song is awesome. So we went home and we watched Scooby-Doo and Kiss. I forget what the thing is. They're at a theme park, and it's a great Kiss joke because they're merchandising everything. And then they do some like interdimensional space travel. It's so Jack Kirby. It's so New Gods. And the villain, my wife goes, the villain, she looks like Big Barda, which my wife is awesome because she knew who Big Barda was. I was like, you're the best, and she was right. This is like the most Jack Kirby thing that's ever been created. That wasn't actually something he did. Like, it was Kiss and Scooby-Doo. And my God, I loved it. It was awesome. Like, don't expect anything more than, some gags, and a bunch of music videos to some of Kiss's best songs. But it was great. I'm gonna highly recommend Scooby-Doo and Kiss.
All righty then. Well, I will recommend you.
Ever seen that movie of theirs? The Phantom of the Park?
No, I know of it. And that's basically what they were doing. Because it's in an amusement park. Like, it's super tongue-in-cheek, right?
Sure.
So they're making, because they're basically superheroes, but then at the end it's like, oh, it was Scooby-Doo. So it's like, oh, they weren't real. So it was just, but then at the end you get a big wake of like they really were. So it totally was Phantom of the Park with Scooby-Doo. Like, it's perfect. Like, whoever wrote this was so steeped in research that I could do nothing but respect every moment of this thing.
Nice.
Voiced by Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons.
Of course. All right. I will recommend you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page, and of course, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. And what do I got? You know what I got? I got two things. I think if you're not watching Miss Marvel, you should be. It's very Spider-Man-esque in the idea of like a kid and seeing the world of superheroes through a kid and falling in love with it again. Like, it's so well done. And also, if you're old like me and you grew up listening to hair metal, I recommend going to see the stadium tour if you can. If it's coming to a city near you, you can see Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett, and it's a long show. I will tell you that much. 4 bands, and I think we got there at 4:30 and it ended around midnight. So
don't spend your entire Social Security check at the merch line.
No, not yet. So on that note, as always, boys and girls, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.